Everyone thinks Midjourney is just for static art, but I found out that its new preview model is quietly one of the best cinematic filmmaking tools out there right now. And what you're about to see is a full cinematic sequence I created using Midjourney's preview model, then brought to life by animating every shot with Seedance inside Higgsfield. Check this out. In this video, I'll show you how to create cinematic AI videos using this workflow, while also covering some of the latest features in Midjourney V 8.2 that make it such a powerful tool for filmmakers. If you want to follow along, I'll leave links to Higgsfield and the complete prompt pack in the description below. Now let's get into it. So I went to Midjourney and clicked Create, because before I could animate anything, I needed my stills locked in. For my first image, I used a prompt describing a lone rider crossing endless desert dunes beneath a massive floating megastructure, shot like it was captured on IMAX 65mm. I pasted this prompt in the prompt bar, then set the aspect ratio to 16:9, the version to 8.1, and hit generate. And the result nailed the scale instantly. The tiny rider against that impossible structure gave me exactly the cinematic feeling I was going for. From there, I wanted to push deeper into the world. So for my second image, I wrote a prompt for a colossal stone gateway carved into cliffs, with a tiny hooded traveler standing before it and faint golden light waking inside the stone, and hit generate. The lighting alone sold it. The gateway felt genuinely alive, even though nothing was moving yet. Then for my third image, I wanted to establish the bigger picture. So I prompted a hidden megacity built inside a canyon, two colossal towers connected by a single bridge, with tiny aircraft crossing through morning fog. The composition did most of the storytelling for me. The fog and scale made it feel like a real establishing shot from a sci-fi film. I continued this process until I had created all of my images. Then my next step was bringing them to life inside Higgsfield. I clicked Video, changed the model to Seedance 2.0, and for my first video prompt, I asked for a slow cinematic push-in toward the rider, with sand drifting naturally, the megastructure remaining still above the horizon, and the light gradually brightening. I pasted the prompt, uploaded the reference image, set the quality to 1080p, the duration to 6 seconds, and hit generate. The result was genuinely amazing, and that push-in gave the shot real weight. It genuinely felt like the opening frame of a live-action epic. For my second video prompt, I uploaded the gateway image I generated and used it as my starting reference frame. Then I wrote a slow dolly forward through the canyon toward the gateway, with dust drifting and golden light slowly waking across the stone, using heavy camera movement with realistic movement. I pasted the prompt and hit generate. Within a few seconds, the result was ready. That movement detail really showed. The motion felt grounded instead of floaty, like the camera actually had weight moving through that canyon. For my third video prompt, I used the megacity image I had already generated as the starting frame. I asked for a slow aerial push toward the hidden city, with clouds drifting between the towers and a small aircraft flying across the scene. The clouds, aircraft, and towers all moved naturally, making the shot feel much more real. It no longer felt like a flat image. It looked like a real aerial shot. I repeated the same process for every shot, first creating the image, then adding the motion. Once all the clips were ready, I downloaded them and stitched everything together in CapCut. That's how I built the full sequence you saw at the beginning and created the final cinematic video. Next, let's move on to one of the latest features in Midjourney version 8.2. The first thing I noticed with Midjourney's new model is just how much better the realism got. But here's the important part. You have to actually type --preview at the end of your prompt to unlock this mode. Otherwise, you're just running the regular model. Once I added that, my images had much more natural lighting, believable camera composition, realistic depth, and subtle imperfections that made them feel like actual frames pulled from a live action film instead of digital artwork. To test this, my first prompt was a lone rider crossing endless desert dunes beneath a massive floating megastructure, shot on IMAX 65mm with warm sunrise light, and I made sure to add preview at the end. The realism showed up immediately. The sand texture and lens bloom made it feel like an actual photographed frame rather than a generated one. For my second test, I prompted an astronaut falling toward a black hole, with cinematic motion blur, glowing light trails stretching across space, and long exposure photography, again with preview added at the end. The motion blur and light trails genuinely sold the sense of speed and gravity. It looked like a still pulled straight out of a sci-fi film. For my third third test, I prompted a lone medieval knight standing before thousands of soldiers at sunrise, with enormous banners moving in the wind and drifting smoke, framed like a blockbuster historical film still. Same, preview tag included. The smoke and banner movement alone gave me that captured on set feeling, instead of something that looked rendered. The second thing that stood out to me with the preview model is how much better it understands composition. Even with pretty simple prompts, it naturally framed my subjects, created depth, used negative space, and gave me images that already looked professionally shot without me needing to over-engineer anything. To test this, I kept my first prompt intentionally basic. Just a lone cowboy riding across an empty desert at sunrise with a cinematic telephoto lens and realistic lighting, and added preview at the end like before. Even with that stripped-down prompt, the framing and depth came out looking professionally composed on their own. No extra tweaking needed. For my second test, I prompted a samurai standing alone beneath cherry blossom trees during heavy rain, shot on a long lens with natural atmosphere, same preview tag included. With barely any extra prompt engineering on my end, the model still nailed the negative space and the mood entirely on its own. The third feature I got obsessed with is sref random. Combined with the new preview model, it let me instantly explore completely different visual styles while keeping the exact same prompt, which honestly is one of the fastest ways I've found to discover unique aesthetics. To test this, I started with a tiger portrait, soft studio lighting, close-up, realistic fur on a clean background, and added sref random along with preview at the end. The same exact prompt gave me 4 completely different stylistic takes on the same tiger, which immediately showed me how much range that one tag could unlock. For my second test, I ran a wolf portrait with dramatic side lighting, close-up, realistic fur on a clean background, same sref random and preview setup. Again, the same prompt gave me wildly different aesthetic directions on the same wolf, reinforcing just how fast this feature lets you explore styles without rewriting a single word of the prompt. The last feature I want to talk about is draft mode, and it made working with the preview model so much faster for me. Instead of waiting for fully rendered images every time, I could rapidly generate multiple concepts, compare compositions and styles, then just upscale the one I liked best. To enable draft mode, you just need to click the lightning sign on the left side of the prompt bar. To test this, my first prompt was a young woman standing on the rooftop of a futuristic skyscraper overlooking a cyberpunk city at sunrise, with wind moving through her hair and coat. Then I enabled draft mode and hit generate. The result gave me a fully rendered cinematic frame that I could immediately compare against other concepts before deciding if it was the one. For my second test, I used a lone mountaineer standing on a snow-covered ridge overlooking an endless mountain range during sunrise. I enabled draft mode and hit generate. That gave me 12 rapid variations back almost instantly, which let me pick the strongest composition before committing to a full render, saving me a ton of time compared to generating one at a time. And that's everything Midjourney's new V8.2 preview model can do right now, from cinematic realism to better composition, sref random, and draft mode. If you want to try this exact workflow yourself, the Higgsfield link and the full prompt pack are both in the description below. See you in the next one.